Rightio. Now, I can see the audio bars are going, and we are going much better now. Cam Bray's just did tell me I have no sound. I had a massive audio issue, so apologies for that, but we're away. No Daniel Hibberd as yet. He is getting there very, very shortly with me here. Yeah, and can clearly hear my audio coming back through the feed there. So I welcome everyone for joining me. Lee Sutton and Philip Wood. Philip Wood, I must give you a call at some stage. 1,000 pardons. Got to get back to you. Yeah, I've been a little bit busy, been a little bit here and there for the week, and had a few things going on, but that's okay. Lee Sutton, congratulations. Great to see on Facebook today. The young boy is into the big wide world of your home. I spoke to Lee at Swan Hill the other night, and yeah, he's out and about, which is great, and great to see the young fella getting out and being able to enjoy the free world. It's got a long road ahead, but I'm sure with a lot of help, mate, from the harness people around you and the likes, you'll be able to get there, no worries at all. Kilmore Harness are on tonight. It's Vic Bread night. At Kilmore, some ripping races. We already had 2 races down. Doug's Babe won the last race, and Tay for Alex Ashwood and the crew winning the first. They're having a great little run, Alex and everyone involved with that camp there, that's for sure. So plenty of people are involved online, so please make sure you get involved, fire some questions at us. Once Daniel logs on, we'll be talking about the Inter-Dominion. Great result for Julie Duffy. We spoke to Jules last week via messages anyway. She was sending messages in and out, so that was terrific. And yeah, plenty happening in the world. While I had Cam Bray there from New Zealand, it was great to see Matthew Williamson. I did an interview with him on my New Zealand show just the other day, and driving 1,000 winners in New Zealand, it's a huge feat when you think that Ricky May has driven 3,000 winners, so he's a third of the way there. He's a big trotting man, and really great to see. So please, if you're online, get involved. Facebook or YouTube, both channels are up and going. So if you're on Twitter, please get involved with the YouTube feed. It actually may not be going because I may not have pushed the button. No, it's going, just not going out for some reason. Don't know why it does that from time to time, but it does. So no, it's there. So please, if you're on the YouTube as well, get involved as well. So happy to have chats about anything to do with harness and harness wise. I've been at Benstud today doing a little bit of a project I've got with the More Than a Horse, because they've had the successful birth of On the Crest of the Wave out of the American Ideal. So they've had a filly, so stay tuned for that one. I was out there today looking at it, sort of got to go around and have a look at some of the yearlings that are coming up with the nutrient sale. So they've got some ripping horses that aren't far off joining there as well. So yeah, plenty happening. And as I said, Daniel's just on his way home from the Bendigo Greyhounds tonight, so we're just waiting for him to get to Elmore. The reception 30 minutes from Bendigo can be as dodgy as it comes, so once he gets into Elmore, he's just going to log back in, but he won't be too far away. The Stall Cup was run on the weekend. It was a bit of a bore fest as well, except if you own our Millionaire, I'm sure it was an exciting race, but yeah, leader just jumped on the bunny and got away with murder, so that was a little bit of a disappointment, I suppose. But yeah, good luck to the connections, whoever, the people that owned the horses, they had a good result. But yeah, for everyone else, it wasn't ideal. Chasing out the back of the field, I know there's a few people thought their horses were disappointing, and then when they saw the times, it was really good. Actually, Lee Sutton made the race. If he hadn't taken off on the Russell Jack trained runner, they would still be going around at the Stall Cup, because Jodie Quinlan got away with murder, and well done to her. Paige Ashwood is on. I'm pretty sure Paige is related to Alex, so Alex is enjoying a really great run. Him and Taylor, they quinelled the last race at Swan Hill the other night as well, so which is a good effort as well. It was a great night. I must say a huge well done to Jared Maloney and everyone at Swan Hill. They do a terrific job. While COVID was on, everyone was getting fed free hamburgers and free drinks, up to the value of $10. Swan Hill had been doing it before, and they're still doing it now. So if you want to put your horse in at Swan Hill and get looked after, it's a place to go to, because there's they really look after you there. The hamburgers were terrific. We were fortunate enough, Santa was there, Holly, my daughter, and Georgia, they got plenty of lollies and that from Santa as well. So with Donna Castles, and yeah, it was good night had by all. But yeah, hats off to that club, the Lions Club, and that they supply all participants with food and drink, which is huge. It was very warm afternoon, but when we got there, but couldn't have been treated any better. And it was actually just a really, really nice night there as well. Going forward, okay. So Daniel has just had one little issue. What I might try and do is just find out if his email will work on his phone. Hopefully he does, and I can do something very quickly. I'm just hoping he's got his emails on his phone. If you've got your email attached to your phone, Daniel, just send me a message. That'd be really handy right about now if you are watching the show. I don't have his email address programmed into this phone. I'm having one of those nights. It's a bit of a Christmas night, that's for sure. I can't remember it. I do remember it. Rightio, we're going to have to go a different way. Just give me 1 sec, and we'll get Daniel in via the phone. He might be able to then keep driving home, actually, if he's got the hands-free in his car. We'll just see how we go this way. Actually, what I might try and do is do it this way. No, I can't do that, actually, just realised, because Daniel doesn't have an iPhone, so he is about to join me. He's not far off. Please just be patient while I work out where his name is. There he is, right there. So I'll ring him, and let's see if we can't get him on the phone. Hopefully we can get him on the phone this way. He won't be far off, I reckon. So he's there. And I know why I'm not hearing him. Daniel's coming in. Daniel, you're right. It's me that's got the issue now. Didn't realise I didn't do that one. Are you there, mate?
I've got you. How you going?
I'm going good. I'm not really. I'm going terrible. I didn't have my earphones plugged in. I didn't have anything plugged in, mate. But that's okay. We're all good to go now.
That's nothing unusual for you. Nothing unusual whatsoever.
So clearly that link didn't work at all. You don't have your email on your phone?
Yeah, I was just about to work. So, but then you rang me. So you probably saved all the hassle. So that's all good. We can talk.
Well, you can keep driving now if you've got the hands-free on the car too, so you can get a little bit further home. Did I hear today at the Bendigo Greyhounds, while I've got you on your calling, a dog that's won 14 races at Bendigo track?
There is. I'll just bring it up. I think I'm pretty sure.
Donna Priest.
I think it was. Yeah, Mackay the Bluey. I think it is.
That's it.
He won. He won the 6th race on the card today. He's had 59 starts. Say again. He's had 70 starts. Okay, hang on. I've got to get it right. 69 starts for 14 wins, and 13 of those wins have been at Bendigo over the 425. So, really impressive record, and he did a great job winning there today.
Yeah, which is really, really good.
Also had 100-1 winner today as well.
100-1 winner, and there was one in that race that went okay, didn't it?
Yeah, there was a 100-1 winner won the last leg of the quaddie race 8. Paid $75 on the tote, and it was 100-1 on the fixed odds, and it basically won like a $2 shot. It was quite remarkable, but I think there was a few happy punters out there would have got on the big odds, I think.
Rightio. So now I'm up and going. I've got most of this stuff sorted out. I had just got a nice little message from Cambrai telling me I'll get a logie for this. Cambrai, if you're watching and you can, I sent you a link so you can join in our conversation whenever you want. And if you don't, you don't. So that's fine, because Cambrai is from NZB Standardbreds. So good day all racing, but that's huge. And that's one thing about the greyhounds; they can continue to go around and keep racing and go around from there. We'll start from the top with the Into Dominion just the other day. You're from the Golden Valley. It had a fair bit of meaning. Either way, it was going to have a Golden Valley connection to it before the protest. But one, how did you find the race, the build-up, and then the thoughts on the protest afterwards?
Yeah, look, it was. It was disappointing, obviously, that the race ended up having to go to a protest. But I watched the race, and pretty much as soon as they crossed the line, I knew that there was going to be a protest, and knew that it was going to be upheld. I just couldn't see any way where that protest wasn't going to get upheld. I felt pretty ordinary for Sal, but it just didn't look good. And when it doesn't look good, it usually means that that the protest is going to be going to get upheld, and that's what happened. And as a result, it was still a victory for the Golden Valley with Julie and Stephen Duffy winning their horse. You look through the list of all the horses that have won the Inter Dominion. You've got legends of the sport and so forth, and you've just added one called Bonsell Benjamin, which I guess sometimes probably doesn't seem right, but you've still got to race in 3 heats, and then you've got to run in a final, and you've got to be able to win the final to become the champion. And that's what he's done, and it is quite a remarkable story for that particular horse.
No, it is indeed, and I think it's huge, that part. I think that's what the Inter Dominion does. So, a lot of people say, Claimers won the Inter Dominion, and a horse that was running around in Claimers and all the rest. He was a good horse, he was a high-speed horse and the likes, but the Inter Dominion is not necessarily always about the best horse. It's about the horse that handles the conditions the best. And I think that's the key part. It's sorry, that idiot from New Zealand. I tell you should never try to have a conversation with him via messenger while you're trying to do a show. But yeah, so I think that's the part about the Inter Dominion. The best horse on the night won it. I did a conversation, and well done to Murray Law as well, winning the Trotters thing. But Emmett Bronson was telling me that they got home from Bathurst at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was a very similar time when they got home from Newcastle. So not only were the horses racing a long way away, but everyone was saying, they've got to back up 3 days later. Well, effectively 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't know about you, Daniel, but that's effectively the next day. So it was only 2 days later that they were backing up. So I think that's one part about this whole series that brought a few horses undone. You have a horse like we'll get back onto the paces for a minute, but King of Swing over racing. You can't over race, have a week like you've had before that, and expect to be able to win one of the toughest races going around.
Yeah, and especially when it's over 3,000 metres, it's not like that there's too many of those races run. In this day and age, there's a lot of just basically mile races and mile and a quarter stuff. So they had to, they really did have to step up to that longer trip. And you sort of forget about the fact that the first heat was at Menangle, the second heat was at Bathurst, and then Newcastle. I mean, there's a fair bit of territory between all of those venues, and you've got to run 3 times, but you've got to travel 3 times as well. So it was a pretty grueling series when you think about it.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that's the one thing I love about it. People say about where does it sit now and all the rest, and there's some talk about not having it. I think it's such a unique series and a unique race meeting that I think it's enormous that they have it, and I think they've got to continue to have it, continue to grow it, because it's just brilliant. I think that from my point of view.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's for all us sort of guys that have been around the sport a long time. It is the absolute pinnacle of the sport, and it's not just a one race event. It is a 4 race series across 2 weeks of racing, and to win it, you've not only got to be not only has everything got to go right for you, but your horse has got to be able to recover from all of those heats and then back up in a final. So it is a true test, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be an easy series to win. And I just like you do want to see it keep running. You'd certainly like to think that prize money could certainly be boosted for the series. I know $500,000 was still good prize money for the pacing final, but you'd like to think that the Trotters one could get a fairly heavy boost up over the for next year and going forward. because you want to have that carrot for the participants to race for big money in a big series.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's definitely got its place. The protest, how did you find that component of it? The coverage was good under the circumstances. I will give them one little drive-by. I think the way they set the microphone just on the desk at one stage and thought, that'll be good enough audio. Like, the one thing about an inquiry, the audio is going to be key. You need to hear what the participants are going to be saying. A little bit of forward thinking that, I wonder if there's a protest, how do we handle that? Maybe a microphone on a boom or a better audio system. But they should have had something a little bit better, because it got a little bit hard to hear, especially Dave Moran up that far end. And his evidence was as key, if not, it was probably the most important bit of evidence. So I will give the people doing the show, they possibly should have planned for that on the biggest stage. But other than that, it's great that people get to see a protest hearing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've been, it's been very difficult, obviously, with COVID restrictions to have that access, and it was good that we were able to have that there on Saturday night, despite the fact that they were wearing the masks and someone's fly was open and the cleaner came in. It was good. It was good theatre.
Cleaner was great, wasn't it?
I don't know what it's hard to work out how that could possibly happen, but look, it was it was important that we saw that, because I mean it's something that doesn't happen very often in big races where there's an objection, and obviously given that the interference that everyone was able to see from the one camera, it was good to see all the other angles on show for everyone to sort of make their own opinion on the interference and the objection. So that side of it was really important. And the stewards obviously did they had a difficult decision which they made. They probably made the right decision. I can't really see how they couldn't have could not have upheld the protest. I just think that there was too much evidence to suggest that the interference was there, and the margin was only a short, like a head or a short head or whatever it was. It wasn't much, so they weighed that all up and come to the decision that they came to.
Yeah, I suspected. I sort of thought as soon as he got outside of his wheel and was closing his hard, I thought, here's a protest, and that just the more you watched it, it just looked more and more likely that it was going to be upheld. Just actually, for any of our viewers that are in there and want to fire in there, if they feel the right decision was made or the wrong decision, please fire your messages in. And I mean, it's all subjective, because at the end of the day, Sal was across the line first. I forgot the name of Dave's horse. Expensive Ego was across the line. He was across the line first. Saw a half brother to him actually. I said I was at Ben Stud. Today in the Golden Valley, there is a half brother to him going through the nutrient sales. A lovely, lovely type. And I think actually it's by the sponsors product, just while I'm still waxing lyrically. Don't worry about me, Daniel. I'm just dropping a few names, which is unlike me.
You're right, mate.
But, I think, for mine, I think the right decision was made. You can't change course like that in the home straight in any race, let alone the most important race there is going. And I think the other damning fact about that all too, that a lot of people miss, and Brittany Graham did bring it up, was that when he got towards the winner post and started to shift up the track that little bit, that also contributed again. So he didn't move up once, he moved up twice. So to say that they wouldn't have got the run, that was bogus, because on the line he was moving every bit as much as what he was previously. So if they had to let him keep tracking the way he was going, he wouldn't have been able to drive one cart through. He would have drove 10 carts through. So I think the right decision for mine was definitely made. That's for sure. Yeah,
it's hard to argue. It's just that evidence that we saw on the patrol film, all the different angles that they had. The only one that they didn't show was obviously the drone footage, which probably would have been the footage to see. If you get that footage, and it would have made it, you would have got a definitive answer of any interference that occurred. So, look, it's disappointing that the race like that has to go to the stewards, but ultimately, they had to, and the decision's been made.
Lee Sutton agrees it was right. Always going to be past it with a fair run, and that's exactly the way I see it too, Suts. I must say it. And he's great mates with Dave Moran, so I'm sure and actually Luke McCarthy, so I don't think that's an easy thing for Lee to say. He's probably got connections with both camps over there, and it's a good story, the Grimsons and the Callaghans as well, so well done. It's got the young blokes going places. A lot gets said about Jason Grimson and his horses and the likes, but he spends a lot of time with his horses in the retention barn. They don't go backwards when they go to the retention barn, so I think hats off to him. He does a huge job with these horses, and just terrific to see what Bonsell Benjamin did. I think it's great. And Julian Duff afterwards, I'm sure Duff's been known. He knows how to party and he knows how to have a bit of fun. I reckon
his tie was very loose. It looked as if it was fairly tight after the stewards the objection was heard. It was around his ankles after the presentation. It looked like he'd had about 10 cans before he got to the presentation.
Oh, I'd love to know if Jules is watching or not watching. I would love to know. I reckon the emotion of it. I don't reckon Duff would have had as big a night as what he probably would have during the week when Ryan had his first son. I reckon, just looking at him, he was emotionally drained after that steward's inquiry afterwards, and I reckon it would have took its toll on him at some point in time. So which is, but it was great to see, and great to see Jules. We had a conversation with her last week, and it was just terrific to see. You and I weren't aware that she still did own the horse, and that's even better. So it was a good scoop actually to see that. So which was really, really good. So she
actually flicked me a message after the race. I can't quite remember if it was after the race or the next morning, but she basically said, "Did you hear me?" And it was like, "Yeah, I heard you." It was pretty hard not to hear her. It was I actually work with Jules. I worked with her for a little while when I first moved to Shepparton and started working at the hospital. She's in the same area as me, and she's moved on to a different part of the hospital now. But we always have a good chat about the horses and everything like that. And she's obviously got a very real soft spot for this horse. And to think that he's won the Year Dominion, he's he's a 6-year-old, and he's had a lot of issues. Duff's had him. Mick Stanley trained him for a while, and Ryan was driving him to win a few races. So he's certainly always been thereabouts, but no one in their wildest dreams would have expected him to be able to turn his form around to win it in the Dominion. I mean, he only went up to Menangle pretty much because the opportunities were there for him to race in mile races or short course races where he could use his gate speed and get to the front and really make a fist of winning races up there. It just seemed to suit him so much better than Victoria. He obviously down here, if he ever drew 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, you'd always think he was going to be able to lead. Different up there with the bigger track, he was able to fly across, and I think that was the thing we mentioned last week. It was a stone cold moral that he was going to lead after the first couple of 100 metres, but it was just what was going to happen after that, and obviously he was going to take cover, and it ended up being on Expensive Ego, and he got the right trip to run over the top. So, they've done an amazing job with a horse that, is not, certainly by no stretch of the imagination, is at the absolute elite top end, constantly at the top end. But he got everything to suit for him there on Saturday night. And I'm sure there'll be plenty more wins for him up at Menangle.
Absolutely. I think couldn't agree more. Lee Sutton, the gate goes so fast up there, that makes a horse like him so much faster earlier, and that's key because, as I said, Lee spent a lot of time up there, and it definitely looks to launch him off. I'll just, while Lee's listening, and please anyone else get involved as well, as Joanna takes out race number 3 at Kilmore there, which was the third heat of the Vic Bred, 28-1 last 2 quarters. And a couple of 31 quarters, so that was a bit of a bore fest. I would say it's just found the front, and that's the end of it for Joanna. Jackie Barker is having a great season, so that's terrific. The trotters, didn't seem to get off the arm as fast. So it'll be interesting to see what Lee says there. Phil Crack is involved, Daniel, as always, and timely little comment that he's actually left there. At least Duff kept his fly shut. So his tie might have been around his ankles, but at least his pants weren't around his ankles, which is a good thing. So I wonder, like, the embarrassment of that poor bloke that must have, once he's realised that that's happened, obviously you can tell, like, the nerves. He would have been so nervous as well because he didn't say anything, but he was just there, I think, probably in spirit as much as anything else. And, unfortunately, he hasn't had the zipper done up, so a bit embarrassing for him.
Yeah, that's, look, I'm prone to doing something silly like that when I put my pants on, not doing the fly up when I go to work and stuff, but you soon realise you've got to do it up pretty quick when you get in the car or anything like that. So,
you can just picture he probably needed to have a nervous one before they went in, and they've gone in, so he's ran in a hurry. And I'll tell you the worst part too, what do you do? Like, he might have realised, midway through the inquiry, but he's probably thinking, I ain't touching that.
There's a camera there. I'm not touching this.
So he's in it. He might have been in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But anyway, he'll be infamous for it. So I'm sure his mates are giving him plenty of ribbon whenever they can. Nathan McGowan, hello to Nathan, former handicapper for HRV and an all-round good bloke. Nathan is, and good to see him joining the show, even if it is only for a short minute. The Trotters were terrific. I spoke to Grant, probably just as much as watching the penny drops get through the series. He just probably couldn't handle the occasion. Like, he handled the 3 runs pretty good in that 8 days. But that 4th run, that little bit, in that 2 weeks, just seemed to take its toll on him, and he just didn't have that zip. And it was interesting, Daniel. Greg Sugars, straight after the race, said to Ryan Phelan, when was your confidence level up? And he said, down the back when Grant couldn't get up alongside of me, he said, then I was pretty confident we were going to win. So, a lot gets said that, about it, that, it was a bore fest and no one put any speed in it. But I believe that, the penny drops just wasn't himself, and, and he showed that the way he dropped out towards the end.
Yeah, it's, they still went 61.5, just over 61.5 for the first half of the mile over the 3,000. So it wasn't completely pedestrian, and they've really ripped home the last 2 quarters. But 3,000 metres at the end of 3 hard runs in a week. You can do all the work you like and all the preparation that week between the last heat and the final. But it is tough if something's not if the horse is tired. It's really hard to sort of get them to fire for that last run if you've used all your petrol tickets. And Mary Lloyd gone through that series pretty consistent. Was able to get to the lead, and a well-deserved victory, a really well-deserved victory. They've done a really good job with that guy.
It's actually interesting. Lee Sutton said here too. I'll get onto that, but he says here, I think the gate is as fast for the Trotters as it is for the Pacers. I think he's left out the hang. He said, but drivers have to hang on. Most Trotters can't spear the same. And then he says about Answer's horse, and he is able to get away. I know a horse like the Penny Drops, they have issues with him getting away from the mobile. The fact that it goes away a bit faster in New South Wales might be interesting when he comes back here to Victoria. It could be an interesting little side link to that as well, Daniel. So, yeah. Yeah,
absolutely, because he's not renowned for getting out of the gate ridiculously quickly, but it's interesting to see what effect it has on him.
Yeah, my New Zealand show, I caught up with Mari Law, the Bronsons. I caught up with Emmett. Sorry, I just forgot. And just the joy of being able to share it with his dad. But the whole experience, and hats off to Fred Cruz. Leaving the horse with a young man to give him a go, and being vindicated because he just done an enormous job with that horse. That's for sure. And I think it's great. I think the horse presented on the night just sensational, and he's a horse that just seemed to get better and better through the series. He done a great job, and and maybe Dad's father, Emmett's father, Richard, just having that knowledge, albeit I think it was 35 years ago that he won the previous one. Just he understood what it takes. So even though there's a big gap, they probably are aware of how hard the challenge is.
Yeah, absolutely, and that you can't. winning in Indominia doesn't matter how long ago it was. You still got that experience and knowledge, and to be able to pass that on. And they basically got him to peak at exactly the right time, and that's what you want to do. It's a fine balance, because you've got to get decent points to make sure you get through to the final, but then you don't want to cook yourself before you get there. So they just did it so well, and were able to capitalise at the right end. So a well-deserved victory. I mean, the only thing for me with that final, 150,000, I think we really need to be looking at a fair injection of funds across from all the different states and so forth. We really need to boost that final. I think it's got to go probably 3 times, if not 4 times, that amount of money going forward, because that's not a huge amount of money for the series, given where prize money for some other races is sitting. We want it to be the pinnacle of the sport, and needs to get the prize money to reflect that.
Just on that, 2 things. One, there was a post put out today, 21 years ago, the Inter-Dominion was $1 million
I did see that
in Melbourne, but the trotters were 50% of that. They were $500,000 for the trotters. This year it was $500,000 to the winner and $150,000 to the trot. And the sadder part, the consolation got more, and that's wrong. That is wrong on so many accounts. That is, if you're sure enough, if they want to say there's this big discrepancy, which there's not, I'll give all these pacing gurus in high places that think the paces are the only way. You might want to take your glasses off, take your hats off, probably take your clothes off and walk out of your job, because the trotters are getting bigger and better, and it won't be long before everyone's got more than one trotter in their camp, and there's a rise of them, and I want to talk about those in a minute. There was a great night at Bendigo, but it's just, that's the saddest indictment on New South Wales harness racing, that they gave the consolation of the Inter-Dominion more prize money than the trotting final. It's just, very, very sad. And as a trotting purist, I might be a little bit swayed, but I tell you what, as an industry participant, if the Inter-Dominion is our pinnacle, the trotters deserve to have pinnacle stake money as well, and it's just wrong on so many accounts. So hopefully they can correct that going forward, and continue to grow it. That's all I hope. Jan Peakin's there. I don't know if any relation to Gary and Charlie, but I did see a great picture of the kids there for the Trotters Inter-Dominion as well, representing Victoria. Wasn't a lot of coverage on it, other than someone took a photo. I think it might have been Tim O'Connor took a photo of the Victorian kids that were there. So well done to those guys. But please, participants, and especially Harness Racing New South Wales, get behind those sort of things. And I still don't understand the timing, why they had it so late. The last race then ended up being run at about 11:15 because of the protest hearing. How do we sell the industry? Great what they did, great getting it on Thoroughbred Central, but how many thoroughbred people are sitting up at 10 o'clock at night to watch Inter-Dominion anyway? Let's have it on when they can see it and sell the game that way. So, Julie Duffy is watching. Jan is Gary's wife. Congratulations, Julie, and thank you very much for that. And it was great to see Charlie up there. I'm sure he had a ball, and I forgot the other 2 kids' names. But actually, I have a spare computer, Daniel, because you're not joining me. So, but Julie's there as well, mate. So you're either in the good books because she heard what you said, or you'll have to get there. So,
she'll have to watch the replay.
Yep, and Peter Doyle is back, and he says, great to see the show's going strong. You didn't see the start, Pete. I had audio issues. I had no Daniel. We've tried to get Daniel on, but he's here with us via remote. So, that's at least we're getting there, so it's all good, that part. So, that's enough about the Inter-Dominion. Daniel, I said there before about Swan Hill and the great job Jared Maloney's been on with us. Jules was going to watch the replay, so he'll be right. You don't have to watch a replay. Trust me, Daniel is brown-nosing Jules. It's all good. But congratulations. Swan Hill, I said there before, they do a great job at looking after participants and all the rest, but they put on a good card of racing, and you get fuel vouchers, things like that. So anyone out there, I recommend they go. And it was a good night of racing on Monday night, Daniel. I don't know if you tuned into a lot of it, but it was a really good night of racing.
I didn't see too many races on Monday, but look, their coverage is really good. They've did a lot of stuff in the Facebook area and videos and things like that. So they have, they've progressively got better. And those fuel vouchers, I mean, they probably don't cover all of the fuel that people use to get there, but it's good to get them so that it takes a little bit of pressure off the participants getting up there. So they're always well looked after at Swan Hill.
Yeah, but considering participants don't have to pay for food and drink when you get there, there's soft, and it's not just water. And I will say the hamburgers are sensational. They come from New Zealand. Cambrai will be like, yes, but they import them from New Zealand, and they are beautiful hamburgers. They are as good a hamburger as you'll get anywhere. So not exactly sure who they get. So there's no kickback there. It's the Lions Club that do it up there too. So I think if you're in the Swan Hill area and you want to donate to a charity, please donate to the Swan Hill the Lions Club of Swan Hill. Leeton, Daniel, great to see the Leeton Breeders' Plate back, being run over the Christmas break. Although when we're talking off air, you're right. It was a 3-year-old series. It's effectively a 3-year-old series now, but it's not really. So it's just great to see that it's back, and only 2 heats. Probably with the Vic bred on down here in Victoria, it probably makes it a little bit hard for the Victorians. But good racing up there for the guys in New South Wales Riverina.
Yeah, it's always a time-honoured series, and I mean, I think we do need to work on a few things with regards to programming and stuff like that, but this is, it's a difficult situation that we find ourselves, with the Vic bred, having moved to this time of year, and the Leeton being able to have their big race, the Breeders' Plate, at its traditional slot. It's pretty hard for it not to clash. But look, the 2 heats that they had up there last night, Golden Valley followers would have known national news for Craig Turnbull. Had been pretty good at the trials leading up to the performance up there. It's had 2 starts now for 2 wins. Really good performance first up at Maryborough, and then I think it had a trial the other week, just a quiet trial at Shep, and then came out and won its heat there last night. It's a nice type, a New Zealand bred, but it looks like a really nice type, and he's going to be really hard to beat in the final. And the other one was Sugar Apple, who won the other heat. Pretty short price favourite, went 155.6. So, look, it's pretty cracking times. Small field, but look, those 2 are probably going to be the hardest to beat in the final next week.
It was quite interesting. One thing I picked up, wasn't it, that Michael Boots actually owns both horses, and it's great to get him back into harness racing. He's a person I might try and catch up with him. I know he bought at the Nutrient sale last year. He bought quite heavily, and he's clearly investing in New Zealand stock as well. So I believe he used to be in the industry a long time ago and has left it, but now he's come back and looks like he's coming back in a really, really big way, which is really good to see. 2 horses, but with 2 different stables as well. I like it when owners do that as well. So and a big well done to Abby Turnbull. There, I do a New Zealand show. I don't know the steels at all, but Motu make a splash. But by a sports writer who's doing a good job since he's gone back to New Zealand. They seem to be getting plenty of winners even back here as well. And then Jason Grimson, who hasn't had a bad week, he wins the Leeton Plate, and Blake Jones is one of the drivers too. Daniel, I can't find where it is, but I think he and another guy are closing rapidly on 100 winners for the season. So well done to both of those guys. And I have the Woodlands hat on. Sugar Apple is actually bred by Charlie Roberts. He's actually a half to, who did I say, American Dealer, didn't I? When I looked it up, half to American Dealer, and he's by Sweet Lou, who's doing an amazing job for them. He's actually booked out here in Australia, but any Kiwis that are still watching, you can get to him. I've seen plenty of ripping types that are going to be going through the sales coming up as well, so the Sweet Lou's. But yeah, he's a beautifully bred horse, American, Sugar Apple, so he's the horse of the future, I'd imagine. So that is run, when's that, Boxing Night?
Oh, I'd reckon it would be actually pretty old. I've got the calendar here. I'm just having a look, but yeah, you'd imagine that it'd be on that particular night. It's always a big big night.
New Year's Eve. No, it's too far. It's 2 hours far out for New Year's Eve, so it has to be Boxing Night.
Yeah, I'll press on the right button, Daniel. Press on the right button. It is Boxing Night. $30,000 race on Boxing Night.
Yep. Yeah, so it's good. I've been there back when it was the other 2-year-old race, and it's just a brilliant brilliant card, and it's a brilliant card of racing. Before we go on to too many other things, Daniel, and I want to get onto the Bendigo harness racing and all the rest. Good mate of mine, Troy Harley, sent me through some stats. How am I going to find it? I'll go on to this one, as I'd say is the best way I'm going to find it. Just on the radio, and it's a little bit of a worrying thing that I've seen. Just the latest radio rankings were out, and although you don't expect our racing body to be a major player in the radio field, 0.6 for RSN, 0.6 of the people listening to RSN as compared to 3AW that's got 16.6. So I think that's a definite worry for mine. We're even a lot lower than the ABC radio, which is government owned, and they don't have to provide an income. So sort of some worrying signs there that they're very, very low. And the other one is, and it worries me a little bit, is SEN Sport, which is meant to be rating through the roof and all the rest, and it's at 2%, just marginally better than the ABC. In fact, the Magic, who I've never heard of, and the ABC are the only other two that they beat. So worrying signs of the way radio is going nowadays, with everything moving, with TV, social media, and the likes.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, the traditional ways that you would listen to the races, being radio primarily, and obviously the TV over the last 20, 30 years has sort of really increased with more races on Sky Channel. But I mean, the only way you could really listen to races back in the day was, or view races, was actually listening to them on the radio. So that was the only way you got your racing fix. It's completely different now with so many ways that you can interact with racing, with with Trots Vision in our world, and racing.com in the Gallops, and the Watchdog apps provides coverage as well for people to watch greyhound racing. So there's all different ways that you can get access to vision and listening to races. So it's not great. You'd like to think that would be a little bit higher than it is, but when you look at the overall scheme of things, there's so many different ways that people can get the product these days. It's not just one source anymore. No,
that's exactly right. It's just worrying trend. Investing in those sort of platforms sometimes, I think, anyway. So I just thought it was pretty relevant. When as I said, SEN gets a lot of airplay as to things that they are doing for the industry, but you just wonder whether they're reaching the mark. And for a lot of people like us in the country, Victoria, we don't get to hear it. We quite commonly say that it's not the easiest channel for us to be able to pick up going forward. So,
it's not like it. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself, but I mean, my radio in the car pretty much lives on 927. It's just what you listen to. Being a racing person, you just listen to it when you're travelling around, and you do get I listen to the breakfast shows in the morning before I get to work, and then it's on in the car, and you might listen to a couple of the races on the radio as you're driving home. It's just something that I've grown up with, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are the same, that all they've ever listened to is the racing station, in the car when they're going to the races or coming home from the races.
It's actually interesting because I was just looking, that's a Melbourne survey. So probably in the country, RSM might rank a little bit better because of exactly what you said. Majority of the racing people are outside of that jurisdiction. So, go from there. Andrea O'Gorman, she's joined in. Been a while since we've heard from Andrea. Charlton, no race tomorrow, but we're not even tipping anymore, Andrea. We've got to get people to go to the Charlton Harness Racing Club Facebook page and go from there. Actually, back onto Swan Hill, Daniel, a funny little thing I saw, Joey Thompson and I'm not sure who was in the car with him, but they pulled up and were looking at the Christmas lights. There was this great display of Christmas lights across the road from the track. I'd say there's not a lot of Christmas lights in Charlton because they sat there for a little while watching them. I'd say they were pretty fascinated by it. So the president was sitting there and enjoyed himself immensely. So it was good. And I just saw the great Mick Gadsden, the farrier there, who has mozzed his partner, Denby Wade. I was about to call him his wife. I'll get into trouble for that, but she's still stuck on 99. And I said to her I wanted to do an interview, but I didn't want to moz you. She said, yeah, like he mozzed me. So we need a barrack for Denby Wade every time she goes around, because we wanted to get to that 100. I think it's an important milestone. I've been fortunate enough, I don't know if I've said it on this radio, but I've driven 101 winners, which I didn't know I'd done, and I'm happily retired at that. But it'd be a great milestone for Denby to get past, that's for sure. Andrea told me that the lights were out in Charlton, that's why they looked at the Christmas lights. But so Ladies in Red is about to race. I can tell you now, the Nutrien Mobile, how good am I going? And it is the Nutrien Mobile, Daniel. I didn't throw that one in, is drawn away. Platinum Sparkle speared to the front. I'm not sure the horse that what's his name's driving, actually, Darby McGuigan. It got out of the gate really good there as well. She was just going to get around those horses, just trying to find out which horse. Oh, No Win, No Worries. That's why it can get out of the gate pretty good. But now when I tune back in, Ladies in Red's going to go to the front. So you'd think it's a foregone conclusion. If anything changes, I'll make sure you're aware of that, Daniel.
I've actually got it on the phone, so I've got it on mute, but I can see what's going on. So. If you took the $1.01, you're looking pretty good at the moment.
So what have you got? You got your iPad and your phone in the car?
Yeah, I've got to have all this gear for the calling. You can't sort of because of when we had COVID, there was no TAB or anything like that operating. There is now, but obviously you had, and to source all the dividends and read them out on air, you had to have your phone or your iPad. So I've got both things going here at the moment. So and I've got the phone going through the Bluetooth of the car, so it's all happening.
Yeah, at least you're not driving. I can tell you're not driving anymore, because I reckon you were coming into those dead zones, which was a little bit of the worry for me. So
I've been parked in Elmore for the last how long I've been talking to you? About 40 minutes. So just sitting here in Elmore.
Sounded like you were driving at one stage. Ruby Wingate's in the death for the Stevensons. Hopefully it can run a nice little race there. But you'd nearly imagine looking at this race, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. The fence, Ladies in Red, Platinum Sparkle, and if Holly Stars is back to anywhere near her form, she should be getting there for the James Herbertson, although she is getting a little bit keen all of a sudden. Ruby Wingate, the Stevensons, they do a great job with a small team of horses. I say it religiously on Trot's Vision, and they do a gun job. Just starting to hot up a little bit this race as the other Emma Stewart runner pulls out from the tail of the field. But I'd be surprised if the 1, 2, 3 on the fence don't get the chockies in this race. Bendigo Daniel the other night, huge trotting night, Lang Dynasty's second year. I was fortunate enough to work that, and it was just a ripping night. Andrea Goldman has just said something. While this race is finishing off, and we'll get on to Bendigo very quickly, Joe was taking a photo of the decorated house next to Ostie Coffee's house, which had no decorations. Believe the photo was sent with a messenger. He is letting the street down, so they're giving Ostie a hard time. Holly Stars isn't going anywhere near as good as what she was, because she's battled into 5th. Just trying to. Oh yeah, that was Runaway Celebrity, got over the top of it, but the Chris Finozio runner, help me out, Dan. Oh yeah, Aliens Exist sat on back of Holly Stars and got past it. So a little bit disappointing run there, that's for sure. So we'd love to show these races. This is one of the things I want to do in the show, and I am heavily negotiating. It's only a flick of a button. I can do it right now, but I'm not allowed to, but it'd be just nice that we could throw to those races in between and come back. It'd be a lot better for a lot of our viewers, especially our overseas viewers there. I like that, Joe. Some of your better work there, giving Ostie coffee, because Ossie, he doesn't miss anyone if he gets a chance. So I think that's very, very good. Right, Bendigo. Huge night. I've got to change me hats, Daniel. I've got to put the Harassed Trotters one on, and we'll get to that in a minute. But we're going to start at the top. Plymouth Chubb, just sensational.
Yeah, he was. I was actually there calling the greyhounds, and you get a really good view of them as they come around the home corner from about the 400. He just looked super. And then I sort of, as he went from my view, he sort of into the home straight. I sort of quickly looked at the TV, and he's still got a couple of quirks. He's still got she's still got to be driven out by Karen a lot of the time. Once he gets to the front, he just seems to be wanting to, hang in or knock off, whatever the case may be. But look, he's clearly the best 2-year-old trotter we've got this year. I think there's a few comments coming out. Is he the best is he the best 2-year-old ever? There's probably a couple that might be a little bit better than him as 2-year-olds. But look, he's doing everything right, he's just in the zone, and he'll head to the Vic Bred as the one to beat.
I'd temper your doubts when you speak to someone like Karen Manning, and she speaks so highly of him. There might be a bit more in it, mate. I think she's got a huge opinion of him. So yeah, but you're entitled. Don't worry, you're entitled to your opinion. There's no.
He's probably he's on the podium. But there's Noopy Kios is probably still one that resonates a little bit with me as one of the best I've seen. So, but he's certainly in the conversation. I mean, he can't do much more than what he's done. He's only been knocked off once. So and he's just doing it so well against some really good opposition.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree. Could not agree more. Revelstoke was awesome. Just a bit touchy, did loom up in its rear view mirrors, but the name of the game is to trot and trot all the way. And she got off guard. Her older sister went a little bit better at the end of the night, but Revelstoke's really been a bit of a revelation, hence the reason why I've got the hat on. Harassed the trotters.
Yeah, doing a really good job. It was a really good win, that one.
It was a good win in the silver the week before, wasn't it?
Yeah,
she's really starting, and there's nothing to her. She does a good job on that too. Just for my New Zealand friends as well out there, I do know that we've got a couple of positives already to Bold Eagle with the semen. It must have been there. I don't know when they scan them. I'm going to be in trouble. I think it's 16 days. So yeah, we've already got a couple of positives to Bold Eagle. So which is really, really exciting for a couple of years' time that there's going to be Bold Eagles running around in Australia and New Zealand. I think that's going to be really, really key, and Harassed Trotters will probably have some of those. They were the pin-up horses for the night, but it was a brilliant night of racing. Juanita Breen got the chockies with Golden Sunset. Wasn't a regulation win, but she's sort of making those into a regulation win. At only 11th start, it's only her third win, but she's making some big sort of splashes, isn't she?
Yeah, that was a really confident drive from Juanita. She really wanted to get to the front. So obviously they knew that she was going well, and once she got to the lead, really was able to control things. Got a pretty easy first half, and then was able to zip home. And always shown a fair whack of ability. Had sort of done a fair lot of work at the trials. As a younger horse, and I think she was well in the market in one of the Vic Bred finals. I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before, but
no, it was only last year because she's only been racing for the one season. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to. She was. I think she run fourth. She might have run fourth in that final. I can't quite remember, but yeah, really nice type, and a really good win there on Friday.
No, definitely, and they're doing a good job. And no, it's not raced by Fred Cruz, but they're all friends. Lee Sutton chimed in, Daniel, and he said he sat on Blitzham Calder and won on him in races, so it's a good film. But he said he is a beast. And yeah, one thing I will say, Plymouth Chubb, if you're anywhere at a race meeting and he's going around, make the effort to go and see him, because he is a beast, and he's just something about him. It's just he's very, very nice to watch and have a look at. I must say he's a really, really nice horse. The 3-year-olds were probably the stars of the show. I don't mind the fact that it's a 2-year-old. The 2-year-olds are the main race, the Gavin Lang and the Graham Lang. But these 3-year-old races, I think last year they were quality. This year they were even better, with both Bangles doing a terrific job. She's doing a great job for everyone involved. Better job than her sister at Bendigo, but between the pair of them, they're doing a good job for Blanche Poole. They've got one going through the sales again this year, another filly. But the other one was Parisian Artiste. And it's just burst onto the scene. It doesn't burst on the scene, I suppose, but just the last 3 to 4 months, it's just been ridiculous what this horse is doing, and backs up every week, Daniel.
Yeah, it's just progressively got better and better as the season's gone on. I'm pretty sure from memory it won a nice race at Cobram, which sort of was a bit of a kick-off point for where it's where it's got to now, and obviously raced well in the derbies, and that was a really tough win there on Friday, and all things going forward for it, it's going to be competitive in anything that it races in.
Yeah, and it's a funny thing, like we talk about Plymouth Chubb being a beast. He's such a little horse, Prizzy Nartise. He's nothing at all to look at, and the likes. But he's just a lovely horse. And Bangles the same thing. When she's on song, Bangles, she's just sensational. Queen Alida, she'd probably give her a fright, but the problem is that she can still just do it wrong. But when she's right, she's good.
Yeah, she's just got that couple of chinks in her armour, and that's what separates the really good ones, and being able to win those big races. As opposed to running midfield or finishing out the back because you make a mistake. Good to see her bounce back to something that we're used to seeing her win races. She was obviously a good 2-year-old winner, but this was a nice performance there on last Friday.
Just quickly, some of the winners are through the night. The Ainsworths, anyone that gets to watch us on Trots Vision, I can't sing their praises enough with some of the bad horses. They just, I shouldn't say bad horses, because this Quaker one, he's by Quaker Jet that stands at Harasta Trotters. This horse was actually bred by Yabby Dam Farms. I always get confused, Daniel, with how, but anyway, it was bred by those. But they just got issues, a lot of these horses, and they do a really, really good job. Ikara ran second, then they actually came out with It's All End Over. They ran third, so they did an awesome job. Matt Horsnell, the job he's done with me, Pat Malone, I think he's had 11 starts now for Matty, but he's had four mobile starts for him now for 3 wins and a second. Clearly, just back me Pat Malone in mobiles. Leave him alone when he's in stands. He's just a naughty boy. But well done to Matty Horsnell. They did a huge job because they come a long way for the night from Terang. It's a 3.5 hour drive and it's a shock and drive home. So well done to those guys. Prizzy and Artiste, Bengals, Utopia. It's funny. Ian, the course photographer at most of the country tracks here in Victoria, he's got a share in Utopia, and he said, am I ever going to win another race? You don't say that very often about an Emma Stewart horse. This horse is flying, absolutely flying, but he just can't break through for a win at the minute, but there is one soon, that's for sure going forward. Oh, that was the one. I knew there was a horse I was trying to find on the program, the True Roman race that I really love, but Chizzy for James Herbertson and Jason McNulty, and Jason couldn't be there, but it was great scenes on Trots Vision with both Noel and I've forgotten Sean's mother's name. She'll tell me off. She actually was my preschool teacher. She actually taught me.
You don't remember that?
She taught me in kinder. So she's got a lot to be accountable for. But yeah, she taught. What do you mean? How can I not remember? I can't remember yesterday, let alone bloody. I don't know how long ago it was, 46 years ago. Give me a spell. But just great emotions afterwards. They're out on the track cuddling, and they've got a great association with James Herbertson. So I think that was really, really key for those. Everybody loves me. Well done to anyone that backed it at $1.28. Not for mine. I'm not a punter, but you've got to be joking. But very, very good win. Well done, Brad Stevens. He's very patient with this horse, and it did a good job on the night. Patchwork for James Herbertson brought up a double for him on the night as well. So he had a good night for Michael Watt, who's done a good job with that. But it was a good night of racing, and it's a lot easier when I can see all the results in front of me too, Daniel. It definitely makes it really, really key. There, so that's pretty much most of what I had to go through. I actually had a mob follow me on Facebook, UK Skewbald Harness Racing Stable. Haven't had a chance to have a look at it, but if anyone does, give them a follow. Seems an unusual one, but it's good that they get on there. It doesn't hurt you to follow some of these pages and expand our knowledge of what goes on overseas, Daniel.
Absolutely, and I've actually found that the same sort of thing. Calling the greyhounds of late, I've found obviously calling the Melbourne Cup. I've got people following me from all over the place, and a number of greyhound jurisdictions overseas as well, primarily in England, of course. But yeah, it's nice to be you get follows from all different parts of the world where they race dogs and trots and gallops. It's really, really cool to be interacting with those different people.
Absolutely. Cranbourne, very quickly, we won't go through the whole field, mate, but it's So it must be the Cranbourne Trotters Cup. Okay, so it's a Bruce Skeggs Trotters Cup. Majestic Man, he's made his way down after the Inter-Dominion. Hatchback was awesome the other night. You got horses like Sundon's Courage that's going terrific. Nephew of Sunoco, he's just not there at the minute. Have Horse will travel, but it's not a bad field.
Yeah, it's a good race. Mobile conditions certainly makes it a more interesting affair rather than the stand. But Majestic Man, we know what to expect from him. And back down in Melbourne, he's obviously performed well here before. So if he sort of had a bit of an easy week, he's certainly got to be really hard to beat in that race. Certainly, not as much of not as great a depth, I guess, as an Inter-Dominion final, but Have Horse Will Travel and Aldebaran Test have both been in really good form, and Hatchback's win was super the other night, so he's not going to get it. Certainly not going to get it all his own way.
No, Andrew Gorman, we haven't quite finished yet, but I will read that message out. Lisa Poole's tuned in as well, and the one thing Andrew did say there, that tipping resumes next year, so make sure you get involved with them. We're happy to promote any club going forward, Andrea. Don't you worry about that. We're going to get on the Cobram in a minute because Daniel will be there in 2 duties, so we will get to those. The Decron Cranbourne Pacing Cup, now copy that, gets a little bit more pressure here as well because Merv Butterworth is Decron. He is also copy that. Interestingly, still in Ray Green's name as trainer. Only just noticed that. I actually thought it was going to transfer to Chris Finozio. Still in Ray Green's name as trainer, but I know Chris Finozio is looking after the horse, so he adds a bit of intrigue, as does American Dream, because it's her last start before she goes to North America, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's disappointing to see that going over there, but obviously, give more opportunity, I guess for her. But it's a good race, a really good. It's certainly. It sort of snuck up on me a bit. I guess I didn't even realise it was sort of on. But when you sort of think about it, we're into the third week of December, and we're only a couple of weeks away from, a Cobram Cup, a Bendigo Cup, and a Shepparton Cup as well. So they're all starting to build up as we get to the new year. This race is, they'd have to be absolutely delighted with the field that they've got. Copy that and General Dodge off the front line there with Our Millionaire is coming off a good win, and then horses like Bulletproof Boy off the back row. So look, it's an intriguing race.
Hey, you've forgotten On Loose Line's own as well, Perfect Stride, a horse that we did have a lot of love for a long time and probably lost it. But I reckon he's not far off bouncing back after his stall cup the other day. And looking at that, he's going to be in the perfect position, isn't he?
Well, he'll be thereabouts, certainly, because you'd expect Supreme Dominator to at least try and hold up from barrier 1 at the start, whether it wants to lead or take a sit on something else. But, even if Perfect Stride lead of 3 pegs, that long home straight at Cranbourne, it could certainly get through on the inside and be right at the finish. It's a good race. As I say, it's sort of snuck up on me, and they've pulled together a really good field.
No, they definitely have. And it's just interesting there, Rick Riley, First Emergency. I know he was only the Gumbauer Cup, but he's already won a cup in that. Unless he was a late nom, just seems a little bit unusual because his form is very, very good. I'm not sure exactly.
Well, he's the lowest rater. He's assessed as he's only an 86, so that's probably part of the reason he probably hasn't got in. But it is a 90 to 120 race. So, but even still, he's still in good form.
Yeah, the only horse I was just looking through then, if it is a manual field selection, is possibly Major Roll, who just seems to be a little bit out of sorts of late. My wife's coming back in, Daniel. If you disappear, you'll come back in a second, but she took you just before, so there's every chance. It was a claimer the other night at Melton as well, so he's possibly the only horse he may have got in front of him, but in fairness to those connections, he's 107 rater. So it's just one of those ones. Probably you're right. Just the where his handicap is, and you look at that field. Who do you take out instead of him. It's pretty hard pressed. You've got Perfect Stride, Cobram Cup winner, place in a Bendigo Cup. He ran second last start in the Stall Cup. So, it's a really good field. And also, he's a 115 rater. So, I think probably his rating's why he didn't get in that. I had a little giggle to myself just then. Daniel, we've got the Pangrazios watching us on two different devices, Louise and Neville. They obviously don't watch things together. They might be in different parts of the house or something, but it's great to have them. Darren Pace, Stephen Clark. We've got plenty of people watching, and please get involved. We just talk whatever comes into our mind, and we just have a bit of a chat about it and go from there. Tauranga Racing on Sunday. We've done a fair bit with Tauranga Harness Racing Club, so good luck to them. Been a while since they've had a good meeting coming up. And Cobram race, Daniel. First race is at 9:20, and it actually says the Cobram Cup, 9th of January, 22 two-year-olds. So smallish fields, easy on the race caller. They must have known you were making a comeback, mate. Few 8-horse fields.
Don't know about comeback. My calendar's pretty crazy. I've done Bendigo dogs today. I've got work tomorrow, obviously, and then trials at Shep tomorrow night. So I'm not sure exactly how many we will get there. But then I've picked up calling Saturday morning dogs at Shep. Then heading to Benalla races for the Shep Trotting Club Christmas party, which should be a good afternoon. And then there's Sunday.
Where's my invite, Macca?
Sunday, I'm heading up to Mildura to call Monday night. So, my next 5 days are pretty full on. But look, Friday at Cobram's a good day. There's 10 races on the card, so it's a big day. But hopefully, we're going to have a lot of local business houses there. Making use of the facilities for Christmas parties and the like. It should be a really good afternoon. I think it's going to be pretty warm, so hopefully we can get a decent crowd out there on Friday afternoon. But looking forward to calling that card, and it's going to be a busy weekend for me.
Well done to the Cobram Harness Racing Club, race number 3. Congratulations, Julie and Steve Duffy. They don't call him Stephen. On the Inter-Dominion Glory pace. So well done to them for being aware of that. They've looked after their sponsors as well. I think they got a few, like you said, they got a few Christmas parties going. So I would imagine a lot of those people are going to be there. And if they're able to entice Duff there as well, bar sales are going to be up. That's for sure.
I think we might be able to help Steve out there if he wants to come up. I'm sure we'll look after him.
I am sure you will. The Brugger Sports Club, one of the great. They advertise on 3SH. Do they still advertise on 3SH? Brugger Sports Club.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's a mecca. That joint, it's bloody huge over there.
South Australia race Friday night. They've got one of those funny meetings as well. They actually work okay, except for if you're on track. But Port Pirie race first, and then we go to the Mount for. So they got 4 races at the Mount and 4 races at Pirie. So they're interesting races to watch. I'm not sure how the uninitiated go when they're watching South Australia and they go from one venue and then between races 4 and 5. They must have a double take when they have a look at the track and say what just happened. So anyway, they're good meetings. I know Mount Gambier have got a lot of meetings this year. Philip Wood was on before, and I'm going to try and do a bit with Phil going forward. I know I'm going back there live for their cup meeting, so I'm looking forward to that. But they've got plenty going on there, that's for sure.
They're good races at Mount Gambier. It's pretty much no holds barred racing on that tight track, but it is good to watch, and it's good to see that they get a few meetings down there because they run some good races for those lower class horses, which we need to be able to run those sort of races.
Alexander Hurley is not on tonight, Daniel. I haven't seen her come on, but her horse was racing the other night and went good again. She would have been very, very happy with it at Bendigo. But I actually made mention on the Trots Vision coverage that to pity she won't be at home. She'll be listening to us. She'll be sitting there, and she actually sent me through a message. Dedication. She was freezing, doing scoring for the kids. So the kids come before the horses, which was really, really key. She hasn't been on. Just thought I'd give her a little drive-by, Daniel. She always chimes in. Andrea O'Gorman, many thanks to you both for helping us promote what we do here in Charlton. We really appreciate it. your support. Have a great Christmas. Everyone at Charlton, Andrea, from me and Daniel, have a great Christmas. We're back on next week, though, so get involved. We're going to do a bit of a Christmas special next week, aren't we, Daniel? I think
we are. I'll have driven back from Mildura, so I'll be nice and fresh.
So, yeah, I'm going to be catching up with Troy Harley. We'll try and catch up with you somewhere, whether it be at the ground meeting track or something like that. We'll work it out. I'll talk to you before that. But, yeah, we'll have a few people on and we'll have a bit of a Christmas whack about everything. And, again, there'll be no timelines. But where Andrea says there about us helping promote their club, please, any club officials that are watching this, Daniel from Oyun, I've got to do the Oyun Cup. That's not until March 17, and go from there. I knew I had to have something else, Daniel. I forgot something, and I can't do nothing about it. But so that's always good. The Wedderburn Cup's coming up, unfortunately, on the 31st of January. I cannot do it on Trots Vision because I am heading to Tamworth for Nutrien, so I will not be there, but good luck to the club. But this is the one thing, it's not going to be ideal, Daniel, but if you watch people, like, so Holly competed at a show jumping event on the weekend, and there was, every time a kid comes in, there was people volunteering to take videos of their kids as they go out there, and they they video their horses as they're going around. Now, I'm not sure if I was allowed to send this one or not anyway, but Michelle Nisbet sent me the video, but she did actually tell me on the day. So her daughter Neve went in to ride her show jumping course. Mum, will you video me? Yep, no worries at all. And there was a bit of sun glare, in fairness to Michelle. But she videoed the horse going round. And when she went back into the shade, she actually didn't turn the camera around. So she actually videoed herself watching the camera going round. And I can't show the full video because the horse refused at one, and the F-bomb might have been let rip a couple of times, and then watching her try and ride it as Neve finally got it over, it's priceless. I will put it out on my social media feed what she did. I won't put all the F-bombs because Michelle won't like that, but I can categorically say she was letting them rip at no uncertain times. It was very, very funny footage, I must say. I was actually found it quite funny. And again, it's like old mate with the fly. We've all done it. We all do different things. Exactly. So, yeah, it was just priceless to watch. So, yeah, Michelle, I did say I was going to put it on the show. I actually wanted to put it up as a video, but, yeah, it was definitely something to watch. What else you got, mate? Have you got anything else or not?
No, I'm good. Pretty much covered off on everything. It's been a big week, obviously, for the Inter-Dominion and so the laying night. We've had a couple of really big nights for the sport, and we're all sort of building now with the Vicbred, the series and the Country Cups that are kicking off. It's and obviously Christmas as well. So big times for the sport. No,
it is indeed, and I was just looking then at Wagga harness racing on the Friday. I'm actually going to Wagga on Friday to do some stuff with Nutrien. I'm catching up with a couple of the rehomers and a few other things, but I'm actually going to go out to Wagga to the racetrack and catch up with Greg Gangle as well. Greg does a great job, but he's also the Canadian. I encourage people to follow, we said there about different platforms, Cossa TV on Facebook, but definitely on YouTube. They do a lot on YouTube. They're terrific with what they put on YouTube and that going forward. And they do plenty of stuff with it. It's great coverage. I actually had coverage there on Monday the other day of their races. So if you like your harness racing and you like to learn a little bit more about the overseas and what happens overseas, please go and have a look at Cossa TV. Give it a follow, as I said, either on Facebook, but definitely on YouTube, and it'll come up. Meadowlands Pace, there's a few others, so yeah, there's plenty going on there. Peter Doyle, he's still on there. We will have a great week, Pete. You too, mate. Really appreciate your feedback. We appreciate everyone's feedback. Lee Sutton, top of the class. He's on Loose Line's own, I think. I noticed Juanita Breen, I think she's defected to SEN. I think Toby McKinnon's trying to take her, but we'll claim that one again one day as well, Daniel, won't we?
I think so.
We'll have to give him a drive by. But everyone else that's got involved, please, thank you very much. And we'll be back next Wednesday, if not beforehand, but we'll definitely be back next Wednesday. I might even try and do a cross to you while you're at Mildura, Daniel. We'll see what happens on Monday. See if I'm bored. I might go live while you're up there and see what happens.
No worries. Sounds good.
All right, mate. Thank you very much for joining me. You have a safe drive home. And to everyone that's tuned into the show, thank you very much. And as I said, we'll be back next week. If you can't see my show, it's starting to get a bit dark in here, Daniel, so it's probably a good thing that I am finished. Huge shout out to all the sponsors that helped me get this going. There's been the tile going across, Woodland, Stud, Barrostock. Who else we got? Kelly Partners, Nutrien. I'm going to get into trouble because I've forgotten someone. NZB Standardbreds and Harasti Trotters. There, Daniel. I got them all out before I got myself into trouble. But thank you very much, mate, for joining me on the side of the road. You've done a great job.